National Space Medal of Honor to the Artemis II crew after their record flight around the dark side of the moon.
4 intrepid space heroes whose sense of daring and adventure led them further from Earth than anyone has ever traveled before. Incredible.
Paying tribute at the Johnson Space Center in Houston and renewing a pledge to return to the moon before the end of his second term.
So to every astronaut here today, I want to make this promise to you. Our nation will conquer, and we will conquer indeed, this vast frontier that we have before us.
The president also signing an executive order to begin creating a new military space academy to help train service members, engineers, and civilian operators for U.S. Space Force and the growing commercial space industry. America is listening to Fox News.
WJR traffic and weather first.
That accident on I-94 westbound on Connor Street has been cleared. There are still some more accidents to watch out for, though. Your 2 right lanes are blocked on Southfield Freeway northbound at Joy Road, and your 2 left lanes are also blocked due to construction on I-75 northbound between Warren Avenue and I-94. Now WJR weather first from the Weather Channel. Partly cloudy today with a high of 82. Currently, it is 81 degrees. Sunny tomorrow with a high of 79. Mostly cloudy on Sunday with a high of 84. I'm Dominic Valentini, WJR traffic and weather first.
Hey, gang, it's Ryan Ermanni. I want to tell you about my friends at Cosm. They are bringing the ultimate immersive sports experience to you here in Detroit. Feel like you've been transported to the field or the court when you watch the game from inside the dome with its massive wraparound display. Elevated food and drinks brought directly to your seat. The hall features wall-to-wall live multi-view sports. You can catch every game while cheering on your favorite teams with your fellow fans. Cosm has a huge selection of games, from NFL to NBA, college football, the WWE, and so much more. Even movie experiences, immersive movie experiences like Willy Wonka, Harry Potter, The Matrix, and so much more. Special for the whole family or a date night. Right now is your chance to win the ultimate fan package before Cosm's grand opening in Detroit. 2 free dome reserved tickets per week to any event for the first month. 5 general admission tickets per week to any event for the first month. $500 food and beverage credit first month of opening. And 1 lucky winner will take over Cosm Detroit to host the ultimate fan experience for you and your friends. Head over to Cosm Detroit's social media handles today for a chance to win.
Summer storms can spell disaster for your roof and more. At Home Genius Exteriors, we stop the damage before it starts. Call now during our summer savings event and get 50% off materials for your new roof. Plus, no interest and no payments till 2027. Call Home Genius Exteriors at 866-451-5470 to schedule your free roof and attic inspection. That's 866-451-5470. Home Genius Exteriors, the genius choice in roofing. See website for details.
The ultimate fan experience, Cosm is coming to Detroit. Go beyond the screen for live sports, movies, art, and entertainment without ever leaving your seat. When you can't be there, be at Cosm.
This is JR Afternoon on 760 WJR with guest host Marie Osborne.
And welcome in on your Friday afternoon. Glad you're on board with us. And maybe you're making your way home a little early this afternoon. Hope you are, to enjoy a great weekend. The weather should be great this weekend. We've got Lions football this weekend. There's a lot happening. I think high school football gets started tonight, if I'm not mistaken. I'm going to double check on that. So a lot of the high school games are being played tonight. So lots of great activities here as we are kind of easing our way into the fall season. I don't want to rush it. I don't like rushing any of our seasons. But, starting to get there where you're starting to think about Labor Day and so on. In fact, we're going to be talking about Labor Day getaways coming up a little bit later on in the show, talking about maybe weekend plans that you could make just to stay inside of the state of Michigan. And maybe bring the family to one last outing before you give up on summer here. Alongside with us this afternoon, Kelsey Phillips, Danielle Mason. Kelsey producing for us. Danielle, of course, always at the board, at the ready, keeping things on track as they should be. Michigan Congresswoman Debbie Dingell this afternoon. This story just broke a short time ago. She's making a move now to reverse President Trump's decision to rename Lake Ontario as Lake America. She says she's going to introduce, get this is what this is going to be called, the Hands Off Our Great Lakes Act next week. This legislation would cancel the executive order that President Trump made this week, renaming Lake Ontario and restore the lake's longstanding indigenous name. Congresswoman Dingell argues that the change damages relations with Canada, one of Michigan's closest economic and security partners, and notes the lake's name predates both the U.S. and Canada by more than 4 centuries. The bill is co-sponsored by 2 New York Democrats, and it would prevent future presidents from renaming any of the Great Lakes. So they'll just take that off the table. We wanted to get Congresswoman Debbie Dingell to talk with us today about Canada-U.S. relations. Obviously, she's been busy with what she's been doing here with this little bit of legislation. But I know many of you are listening to us right now in Canada. We love you, by the way. We do love you. And I have many friends in Canada. We go to Canada frequently. We're in Canada at least, I don't know, once a month, once every other month or so to visit or to enjoy the restaurants and so many of the other things that Canada has to offer. We were just there a month ago. In fact, went to Vancouver, and just a great country. But nonetheless, so what kind of impact is this going to have on relations with Canada? I mean, we've had so many here. This has just been building one thing after another. And when are people going to say, enough of this? We're done with that. I wanted to bring in Danielle Mason. Danielle, I know that you have connections to Windsor right now. Your boyfriend's from Canada.
Yes, he's way up there past Toronto, though. His whole family's over there.
So they're the real deal.
They're the real deal.
Okay. So have you talked to him about this, or does he talk to you about this, and how Canadians feel about, this now? This is kind of a sore relationship with the United States.
He doesn't talk to me about it because he feels more American than Canadian at this time because he lives here and has been living here for so long. However, his grandma, his Baba, has a lot to say.
Does she? We should.
She's 95.
She could be a guest.
Oh my God, she's 95. She's sassy. She's fierce. She will tell you like it is. And she just thinks this is absolutely crazy. She says our president is crazy, that he's that he's a lunatic.
Okay, that's Danielle who said that. So
no. She definitely said that. Yeah. You have a crazy president, and I don't believe a word he says. That's
so
what Baba
very
says.
Very opinionated.
Oh yes,
but so she has my whole life we've been going to Canada and had, like I said, we've had friends there. And so many friends there. So we've just always had this great relationship with Canada. Mm-hmm. I mean, when you think about our international border that we just go back and forth, of course you have to show your passport and answer some questions and all that. But I mean, easy peasy, right? We can go to a foreign country. I just think that as your boyfriend's grandmother has probably seen, this damage the relationship, this longstanding relationship.
They're very kind, though, because they don't judge you for being American. They are just judging like the politics and the policies. They don't judge. If you walk into a bar and you say I'm American, they're gonna go off about President Trump. They're not gonna go off about you as a person and the country, because they too like coming over here as well. We have a lot to offer, and they have a lot to offer us. So they don't hate normies. They just have words about our president.
So they call them normies, huh?
I'm saying that.
Yeah. So anyway, we want to talk to Debbie Dingell about this today. Thanks for that, Danielle. I mean, and I hope Baba, I'm glad to hear she's still spouting off at 95. That's
she'll do it forever until the day she dies, which will be never.
Well, you know what? People who live that long and still have something to say, I think we need to be listening to some of the things that they say, because they just have this perspective that the rest of us simply don't have. I mean, we don't have to agree with it, and we may not like it, but it's a perspective born from living many years to see things the way they used to be and not the way they are right now. And like I said, this relationship is making a lot of people very sad, very anxious, and hopefully this will be rectified. But maybe we'll be able to get Congresswoman Dingle on at another time to talk a little bit about, again, this new legislation that she's introducing next week, hands off our Great Lakes Act. So she wants that to make it that no president can ever change the names of the Great Lakes. Another interesting story is this week we heard about this Meta lawsuit that was settled for a landmark $17 billion. That was the price tag on the settlement. A deal in a social media addiction trial with Meta. Florida's attorney general, though, is now vowing to take the company back to court, saying the payout is absolute peanuts. And it's funny when we did this story, it was a couple of days ago that this broke. We were reporting on the $17 billion, and wow, that's a lot of money. But I heard a couple of people say, you know what? For Meta, that's not a lot of money. So Florida State Attorney General James Ottmeyer joined Fox today to react to the settlement. Here's what he had to say.
We'll see him in court, and I think Floridians are going to look through the evidence, see the extensive harm, self-harm, eating disorders, addictions, mental disorders that kids face because of the intentional addictive features that this platform has rolled out. We're not going to roll over when it comes to protecting our kids. This was not a good deal for the states. This was a rounding error for Meta, $1.5 trillion company, just a few weeks of revenue here. Unacceptable. We're not going to settle for pennies on the dollar. We can get billions and billions and more when we go to trial, which is what we're going to do.
Yikes, watch out, Meta. The settlement will be paid out over 10 years. Each state involved in the suit, which, by the way, Michigan is part of this, is slated to get a share of the settlement based on population. Meta also agreeing to make a bunch of changes to their platforms in an effort to protect kids, issuing a statement saying, in part, we want to get this right for parents, teens, and that's why we partnered with states' attorneys general to set a new industry standard. So a very interesting take on this $17 billion settlement. A little bit later on in the show, we're going to have someone on, an expert in kids' mental health, to talk a little bit about, okay, Meta says it's going to be putting in all these stopgap efforts or mechanisms in place to keep kids from using their phones too much. But you know what? Parents are still in charge. So what can parents do? If you're a grandparent, an aunt, a caregiver for a kid, you're going to want to hear this. That interview is coming up a little bit later on in the show. But when we come back, I teased it earlier. We're going to talk a little bit about the gospel according to Dolly. That's coming up next here on WJR.
Hey there, JR listeners. Chris Alberta from Principium. Look, I have an urgent message for you today about your retirement. I don't care if you already retired, you're a few months away, or you're a few years away. You're going to be unemployed soon. And you probably don't have a pension because you are your pension. Recent all-time highs in the market. Look, you're at the top of the mountain. And now we're in an Iranian conflict. AI might replace your job. And like it or not, you could be retired as long as you were working. But despite all that, is the best time I have ever seen in my career to build you a retirement plan. The fixed rates are unbelievably good. Income models are killing it. You combine that with top-notch market management and you're going to win. If you wait, you will lose. These rates will go down. You remember the 4% rule? My clients are using the 7% rule. They'll always have a paycheck, and that's freedom. Don't wait. Call me now, 888-800-8949. Call me, Chris Alberta, 888-800-8949.
Here's the deal. The government is over $38 trillion in debt, which means the IRS isn't slowing down. And the tax code is complex and unforgiving. So it's not surprising if you're one of the millions of Americans that owe back taxes to the IRS. Unfortunately, they're the world's most powerful collection agency, with the ability to garnish your wages, seize your bank accounts, and even take your home or business. But don't be stressed or worried any longer. We're Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution firm. We have resolved over $3 billion in tax debt for our clients. Our award-winning professionals deal with the IRS every single day, protecting our clients and preparing them for the best possible resolution. For tax help you need, for tax help you can trust, give Optima a call today.
Call 800-896-8155. 800-896-8155. 800-896-8155.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Did you know only 40% of people get to choose when they retire? To reduce fear and to understand if you have what you need to give you what you want in retirement, the charity has learned after teaching tens of thousands of families with assets between $1 to $20 million, you have to educate yourself and prepare now. Hi, I'm Kirk Cassidy, lead instructor for the Retirement Education Foundation, a charitable program, and the co-host of the Retirement Education Hour heard here Saturdays 6 a.m. and 1 p.m. If you're retiring within 10 years or already retired, then join us for our retirement education courses held at major universities and colleges in your area. At this course, we'll teach you how and when to take income from which accounts at what age to minimize taxes and reduce the chances of outliving your money. Join us for our 8-hour, almost master's level retirement course to learn how to retire earlier, spend more, and reduce your anxiety. To find a course in your area, go to refedu.org. That's refedu.org. These courses are sponsored by the Retirement Education Foundation, a charitable program.
I'm Pete Beauregard, third-generation owner of Colony Marine. We've been in business since 1958, and we sell boats, we service boats, we own several marina facilities, and we're proud to be one of the largest in the United States. We've been with Tryon Solutions for about 10 years now, and it's the solutions part of the name that attracted us to Tryon. From payroll to HR assistance to benefits to our seasonal hiring, they treat our team members like we're family. And that's why we rely on Tryon.
You can always rely on Tryon.
Explore the new Wicked Wand Workshop or celebrate like a true Viking at the all-new Hydrons Hall. Step into a world of magic, adventure, and excitement at the Michigan Renaissance Festival. Open weekends now through October 4th. Get your tickets today at MishRenFest.com.
I move mountains for a living. Literally. That means I don't carry hand lotion, and when it comes to serious heartburn, I don't mess around with anything but Rolaids Max Strength. Its dual-active formula has 1,500 milligrams of calcium carbonate and magnesium hydroxide that relieves heartburn fast. And the best part? The roll fits right here in my pocket, so I can get back to moving mountains.
Rolaids spells powerful relief. 1,500 milligrams is our highest amount of antacid per tablet. Read each label. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children. WJR Traffic and Weather First.
This report is sponsored by Dell Technologies. Back to school starts now. Get long-lasting battery life on the Dell XPS laptop powered by Series 3 Intel Core so you can work from anywhere. Now from $699 with exclusive student pricing from $599. Find PCs built for you at Dell.com/deals.
Some accidents to look out for on the roadways. Your two right lanes are blocked on Southfield Freeway northbound at Joy Road by an accident. And on I-94 eastbound at Gratiot Avenue, your left lane is blocked there. Some construction as well. Your two left lanes are closed on I-75 northbound between Warren Avenue and I-94. And your two left lanes are also closed on I-696 eastbound at Orchard Lake. Now, WJR Weather First from the Weather Channel. Partially cloudy today. Currently, it's 83 degrees out there. Sunny tomorrow with a high of 79. And mostly cloudy on Sunday with a high of 84. I'm Dominic Valentini, WJR Traffic and Weather First.
I'm Kevin Dees. Coming up on All Talk, Vice President J.D. Vance is coming to Macomb County as Republicans turn up the heat in one of the country's biggest midterm battlegrounds. Why Michigan and why now? With gas prices, a trade war in Canada, and the war in Iran, there is lots to talk about. Plus, John Witz will be here to talk about arts, beats, and eats. All Talk is 9 to noon. You can stream us anytime at WJR.com.
This week, we lost a true American original.
Well, my faith is my rod and my shield, and I've just always been very spiritual because I grew up in the mountains and where God is your only hope, really. And my grandpa was a preacher, but I learned early on that, there's a great strength to be found and to draw from about anything in life. I mean, prayer got us through, and it does to me today. I pray every day that God will let me be a light in the world and that he'll let me shine and radiate with his love and light and to uplift people and to glorify him. I mean, that's my prayer every day.
Dolly Parton died earlier this week at the age of 80, and to call her a country music star alone does her a great injustice. She was also so much more. She was a philanthropist of the first order, and that is perhaps where her greatest legacy lives. She was a person of deep faith, and she didn't always talk about her great faith. Instead, she showed the world what it really meant to be a person of faith, giving, accepting, and loving. Joining us is the Reverend Chris Shaw, St. Stephen's Episcopal Church in Southfield. He is the pastor there. Father Yaw, we're so glad you could join us today.
Marie, it's great to be with you from St. David's. It's wonderful to hear your voice and to hear the voice of such a legend, a dynamic Christian, as you've mentioned.
Absolutely. I want to, thanks for the correction. It's St. David's. How could I forget? St. David's on 12 Mile in Southfield. If you're ever in the neighborhood, stop in. I'm sure Father Yaw would love to see you. So I'd love to know, what spiritual lessons did Dolly Parton leave for us?
Oh my gosh, Marie, it's there's so many. I mean, I think the overarching lesson for me is she was really a person who didn't judge, but she loved. And she really showed that in the way that fame and fortune came to her. I mean, as we all know, she came from really literally rags to riches. And what she chose to do with those is, I think, a lesson to all of us.
I heard her in an interview this past week, a lot of people doing tributes, and this is a past interview where she said, I try to find God's light in everybody that I meet. And that struck me because one of the mottos of the Jesuits is find God in all things. And here she was basically saying that very same thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you see how, Christians of all flavors really have much, much more in common than they don't. And finding God in not just that's in everybody, it means also your enemies and those who, who you don't see eye to eye with. But Dolly, really, look at the friends that she had, Marie. She had conservative Christians who were fans. She had LGBTQ people who were her fans. I mean, she really had this broad appeal because I think, like Jesus, she was more spiritual than religious. Remember, Jesus had his toughest words for those who are religious. And what let him shine was his love, his admonition to us is, judge ye not, lest ye be judged. And instead to draw the circle ever wider, which I think she did. And again, through the legacy she leaves of generosity. When your producer had called me, she said, are you going to preach on Dolly on Sunday? I said, yes, actually I am. Because on Sunday, we get a reading from Romans. And it tells Christians to let love be genuine, to show honor, practice generosity and hospitality, care for the overlooked, and overcome evil with good. And I think Dolly Parton's life gives us a remarkably vivid picture of those words. She was not perfect. I'm not canonizing her, but she used her fame to lift others, her wealth to give children's books, her faith to welcome rather than condemn. And she showed us, I think, that Christianity can be joyful, generous, humble, and perhaps most of all, spacious.
And you said, I don't want to canonize her or make her a saint because she wasn't perfect. And you know what? The funny thing is, she was always the first one to say that. Oh, I'm not perfect. She was always the first one to remind everyone that, she was this imperfect person, just like the rest of us.
She was extremely self-deprecating. And I think that she really did wear her Christianity less like a badge and much more like a welcome mat. Because if she preached on Sunday, you couldn't find a church big enough. She was just so, as you say,
deprecating
and really, really humble.
Yeah, which was really incredibly part of her charm. So you are going to preach a sermon on her this week. Obviously, the reading is going to be, your format for that. So what specifically will you talk to the congregation about?
Well, as I mentioned, this Romans 12 reading about letting love be genuine and overcoming evil with good, Dolly did that in wonderfully practical ways, answering illiteracy with books, poverty with opportunity, exclusion with welcome, and certainly, and we haven't really talked about it much, sorrow with music. I mean, she was perhaps best known, and that was perhaps her biggest gift, was that she could really write lyrics that stirred the heart. I think she showed us that Christianity is joyful, it's generous, and it's big enough to make room for everybody.
Also, when I think of her, and I've looked at all these tributes, and what I loved about her too is just even on social media, people of all ilks had something nice to say about her. So that right there tells you that she was onto something. But what it made me think of was, here is this woman who purposefully, wore this big hair, had this figure that everybody wanted to comment about, wore these wild clothes and all these rhinestones. So she was in this outer package that you would never think would deliver any kind of spiritual message. And yet there it was.
It's interesting that you mention that, because I think of an early church father who said, the glory of God is a human being fully alive. And I really think she was just being herself. I really do think that she loved the makeup. She loved the hair, the figure that she had. I mean, Dolly was Dolly, and she was simply herself. And part of that self was that when she, acquired hundreds of millions of dollars, that she was going to give a substantial amount of that money away. So, I'm kind of glad how God made her. And it reminds me of how different God makes all of us.
Right. And again, with her work with the LGBTQ community, I know there's a lot of opinions about, all of that out there. But with her, it was always just, you know what? I just accept people for who they are and what they are. And it was just that simple. She didn't want to argue about it. She didn't want to have into a philosophical or political debate with you about that. She just accepted people. And also, I might add, the very poor. She herself grew up very poor in Appalachia. And she also talked about the people who might be uneducated, people who might be considered worthless in our society. But yes, they still had a place and something to give to our society.
Yeah, it's the danger you get into. People think, oh, you didn't speak enough about this. You spoke too much about that. I think she really found a way to walk the line. When you have people who are far to the right and far to the left, and they both say nice things about you, it kind of shows that she maybe picked the right path. Because I think she did. I think she was very patient with people on both sides, and was simply content with saying, figuratively, I don't have all the answers, but I do know that I need to love and care for people. And that, I think, is at the crux of what Jesus was about. I need to love and care for people.
Yeah, I love that. I need to love and care for people. I think we could all probably take that. And I also love that you said, this is not a thing to canonize her, but just to talk about the value that she gave every human being that she encountered. Reverend Chris Yaw, the pastor at St. David's Episcopal Church in Southfield, again on 12 Mile Road. If you're ever in the area, make sure you give him a visit or a shout out. Good luck with that sermon on Sunday. I'm sure the congregation will be very pleased to hear it. Thanks again, Father. We appreciate your time today.
Thank you, Maria. I appreciate all you do for our community.
Thank you. And we'll be back here on WJR.
Two hours ago, Kyle arrived at the bar.
Hey, what's everyone drinking?
30 minutes ago, Kyle got his friends another round of drinks.
Cheers!
5 minutes ago, Kyle decided to drive home drunk. A minute ago, a law enforcement officer pulled up behind Kyle.
Sir, have you been drinking tonight?
A chain of events that began 2 hours ago is about to change Kyle's whole world. Drive sober or get pulled over. Paid for by NHTSA.
Overcoming adversity, staying positive, and giving back to the world we live in defines the Denise Illich Show. This week, Denise sits down with Michael and Adam Kazanowski from Gypsy Distillery, identical twin brothers from Birmingham, Michigan, who walked away from the path that everyone expected them to take to chase an idea for a vodka company nobody wanted to fund. It's a story about entrepreneurship in its rawest form. It's Saturday, 4 p.m., The Denise Illich Show, sponsored by Secure Financial Group.
At Benjamin Moore, paint is never just paint. It's a labor of love poured into every can, developed through generations of experts. It's more than paint, it's Benjamin Moore. Find it at Repco Light Paints. Learn more at repcolight.com or visit one of their 4 Metro Detroit locations.
Every year, summer ends and the kids go back to school. This year, I'm going back too, at My Computer Career. They'll help me get the skills and certifications that can get me noticed by top employers in months, not years. Now I'm on a fast track to a high-demand IT career where the rewards can finally match my value. Visit mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation today. That's mycomputercareer.edu. It's never too late to go back to school.
Financial aid is available to those who qualify, including VA benefits.
Finding great candidates
they need. So we're in close coordination. Our embassies in Kathmandu and Beijing are working on this 24/7. And if Americans need assistance, please reach out to the embassies.
President Trump honoring the Artemis II crew, the Congressional Space Medal of Honor at the Johnson Space Center in Houston.
These astronauts did not do it alone. I want to salute all of the engineers and scientists, launch and landing specialists, everyone at NASA who helped make this mission a great success.
NASA getting ready for Artemis 3 next year. America's listening to Fox News.
WJR traffic and weather first.
We have some cleared accidents on Southfield Freeway northbound at Joy Road. That accident has been cleared, and on I-94 eastbound at Gratiot Avenue. Still some stop-and-go traffic there, though, so keep an eye out for that. Construction on I-75 northbound from Warren Avenue to I-94. Your two left lanes are closed there, and there's some stop-and-go traffic on I-94 westbound between Connor Street and Trumbull. Now, WJR weather first from the Weather Channel. Partially cloudy today. It's currently 83 degrees. Sunny tomorrow with a high of 79, and mostly cloudy on Sunday with a high of 84. I'm Dominic Valentini, WJR Traffic and Weather First.
Explore the new Wicked Wanda Workshop or celebrate like a true Viking at the all-new Hydrants Hall. Step into a world of magic, adventure, and excitement at the Michigan Renaissance Festival. Open weekends now through October 4th. Get your tickets today at MishRenFest.com.
Looking for a way to accelerate your career? Find more at WCCCD. More in-demand programs, more world-class facilities, more services and support, more experienced faculty and real-world skills, and more career resources to connect you with the right job.
America's most trusted tax resolution firm. We have resolved over $3 billion in tax debt for our clients. Our award-winning professionals deal with the IRS every single day, protecting our clients and preparing them for the best possible resolution. For tax help you need, for tax help you can trust, give Optima a call today.
Call 800-896-8155. 800-896-8155. 800-896-8155.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Get answers to your retirement planning questions by joining the president of the Brzezinski Group, Brett Brzezinski, for Inside Retirement, Sunday afternoons at 2. Firm offers insurance services. Investment advisory services offered only by duly registered individuals through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
The world-famous Detroit Jazz Fest is back. Here's Jazz Fest Foundation President and Artistic Director, Christopher Collins.
We have a Keep It Free campaign. This year, we're going a bit old school. We have 4 stages, but the 3 outdoor stages now are Carhartt Amphitheater, the JP Morgan Chase stage, and the waterfront stage are consolidated now on Hart Plaza, which will be enclosed and gated, so for safety and security, but it's still completely free.
Ryan Ermanni will have a special JR afternoon to kick off the show, September 4th, and wait till you hear the lineup.
Joe Milano, Detroit native Ron Carter is with us, Dee Dee Bridgewater, Take 6, Bob James Quartet, Robbie Coltrane, Kurt Elling, and the Yellow Jackets together. It's something surprising around every corner.
Get VIP tickets for special seating at DetroitJazzFest.org. September 4th through the 7th, follow the crowds downtown to Hart Plaza with all of your friends at 760 WJR.
This is JR Afternoon on 760 WJR with guest host Marie Osborne.
And welcome back, everybody. The Lions are playing their third and final preseason game tomorrow against the Colts in Indianapolis. Plenty of Lions fans are going to be making the trek to Indianapolis. It's a great way to spend a Saturday. Beautiful city, and close enough to watch a Lions win. At least we hope it's going to be a Lions win, right? Anthony Bellino, co-host of WJR Sports Wrap, is joining us. Anthony, glad you could join us.
Marie, as always, it is a pleasure to be on with you. How are you this afternoon?
Great. So, listen, let's talk a little bit about the pressure that some of these players are going to be on the field on tomorrow in Indianapolis. So, which players will be the ones to watch tomorrow?
Yeah, this is a really, really big game for a lot of guys. One of the guys I keep talking about is a youngster by the name of Keith Abney. He was a 5th-round selection in this most recent draft out of Arizona State. And because of an injury to Christian Izien, this team might have to look at him and elevate him into a starting role. Now, he was battling it out for maybe that nickel cornerback position, so the third corner out on the field, and he was in battle with Christian Izien. Would it be Roger McCreary? What was going to happen on the outside, on the opposite side of DJ Reed? But Izien gets hurt, and that might actually propel Keith Abney into a starting role come week 1. So that'll be something we want to keep our eyes on. He's been great so far throughout training camp and in the preseason. But he's a guy in the 5th round. If you pick up a kid like that can come in and make an immediate impact, that is an absolute steal out of the draft. And then on the defensive line, a guy like Skylar Gill-Howard, who was drafted in the 6th round of this year's draft out of Texas Tech. I mean, he was our post-game interview at Ford Field after week 2 because he is just an absolute wrecking machine in the middle. And you talk about another steal from Brad Holmes in the draft. But where those guys are seeming to excel, that puts a guy like Mekhi Wingo, who's battling a little bit of an injury, on notice. Will it be Levi Onwuzurike or Tyleik Williams to be paired with the starters next to Aleem McNeil on that first unit defensively? And then at the linebacker position, we know Derek Barnes, we know Jack Campbell. But who is going to be that third linebacker? Will it be Devin White, who is an absolute tackling machine, who we get in the offseason literally for nothing? I mean, less than $2 million on a 1-year deal, and he trailed just Jack Campbell in tackles last year. I mean, he was I couldn't even believe that he was even available. And, that kind of pushes Malcolm Rodriguez, a young rookie drafted out of Michigan named Jimmy Rolder, who's been battling injury this camp, but also Joe Bacci, a Michigan State product who's trying to make this team and make an impact here as well. So there's plenty to watch on the defensive side of the ball. And then on the offensive side, it looks like Juice Scruggs, who we picked up in the trade for David Montgomery down to Houston, it looks like he's going to be the starting center come week 1. But coach already said we are not going to be held hostage by left guard. And that is a huge notice to the former starting left guard, Christian Mahogany. Will he be able to win that job, or will somebody else like a Miles Frazier be able to step up and kind of win that away from him? So there are some positional battles then at wide receiver. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jamison Williams, you're more than likely not going to see them. They're going to be in, T-shirts and shorts tomorrow. But that third wide receiver, Isaac Tesla, it's been pretty good in training camp, a little bit up and down in the games thus far. But who's going to be wide receiver number 4? Who's going to be wide receiver number 5? I think Dominic Lovett, who was a 2025 draft pick, has a lot to prove in this third and final preseason game. Of course, you have Tom Kennedy as well. He's been on this team, on the practice squad and then being elevated into game action. He is just Mr. Consistent. So there's only a couple spots left there at wide receiver, and they've got a very, very full wide receiver room. So that's a big time position as well.
So the deadline for the roster cuts come after this game, right? It's on Sunday when they have to make the final cuts. So who has to really make this good showing here? And does it come down to this one game for some of these players?
I honestly think at the running back position, they've got some serious decisions to make, because will Jacob Sailors continue to elevate himself? And then what does that do to a guy like Sione Vaki, who has, consistently been injured? I don't think he's in line to be cut, but I do think that, they're going to have some question marks there. They had Kareem Hunt, the former Toledo Rocket, Kansas City Chief, Cleveland Brown, in for a visit this past week, because I don't know with the trade of David Montgomery if they've necessarily addressed that second running back properly this offseason. I think that anybody on the offensive line, whether it's Ben Barch, Miles Frazier, Mason Miller, a lot of these guys, Colby Sorsdale, a lot of those guys are going to be fighting for positions here, because look, you can only keep so many guys at every position. So if you're an offensive lineman and you have the ability to play tackle or guard, or you could play guard and center, being able to play multiple positions is going to be very, very important for you in order to make a team like this. And then also at the tight end spot, what are we going to do as far as, are they going to keep a third tight end? Is it going to be a fourth tight end? They've even tried to, convert a tight end into wide receiver as well. So that's kind of interesting. So there have been a lot of guys that are out there fighting for those positions because you only have so many roster spots available. Now, what will help the cut down day, even though I don't like the fact that there are a couple teams that play Saturday that have to make the immediate cut within 24 hours. I don't necessarily like that when some teams have, games last night, games tonight. They have a much larger window to be able to address their roster. But I think on the defensive side, if the team starts off with Brian Branch and Kirby Joseph, and even on the offensive side with Cade Mays at center, if they start those guys on the physically unable to perform list, aka the PUP list, not our four-legged friends, but the other PUP list, if they start them on the PUP list, they will not count against the 53-man roster. So that will open up some other opportunities for some guys to make this team.
I was going to ask you what the weak spots for the Lions are going into the season, but I don't know how well you can answer that question not knowing what the roster cuts are, but can you answer that kind of question? Like, what do you see like in the next several weeks as they start the season? They start on the 13th, right? September 13th?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
First home game against New Orleans inside Ford Field. I can give you a laundry list. I mean, I'm ready to go.
You're ready. All right. Here we go.
Because it is about secondary, right? So it's who's going to be the starting safeties, because we know that Brian Branch and Kirby Joseph are not going to be ready to play right away. Outside corner alongside, you have DJ Reed as your number one cornerback option. So who is number two? That's a massive question. And then who is going to be the nickel or the third corner? We talked about Keith Abney a little bit earlier. I'd love to see him be able to prove that he can do it, right? That's a big question. Interior defensive line. We know that we have Aleem McNeil. Great. We know on the edge we have Aiden Hutchinson, DJ Wanham. Derek Moore is battling a little bit of a groin injury, but he looked really good last week as the team's second-round selection. No concerns there, but who's going to win that other starting defensive tackle position? And then what kind of depth do they actually have there? Depth on the offensive line, right? I mean, it's a little thin right now. Michael Neese is battling an injury. Giovanni Manu is on IR. We don't even know what we have with him, to be honest with you. And then, of course, with Cade Mays, the prize offensive line acquisition this offseason with a fractured wrist, he's down at least 8 weeks. So that's a problem. Then you look at the depth at wide receiver. If Amon-Ra and J-Mo are 1 and 2, Isaac TeSlaa, you got to win number 3 for me. I know I have a lot of good feelings about you, but you got to win number 3. And then tight end depth, right? Sam Laporta, we love him. Got to stay healthy. Who's going to back him up? Big question there.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about Sam Laporta. Wow, lots of moving parts here for sure. Anthony Bellino, great job summing all of this up. It's going to be a great weekend for football. I know Lomas Brown's headed down to the game in Indianapolis. We're going to hear both of you here tonight on Sports Wrap. Thanks, Anthony. Have a great weekend.
Thank you as always, Marie. Appreciate you.
We'll be right back here on WJR.
It's game day. Are your moderate to severe Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis symptoms keeping you from the action? Skyrizi, risankizumab Riza, could help you get back to the game. Skyrizi is proven to help people feel significant symptom relief, achieve remission, and visibly improve damage of the intestinal lining. Skyrizi is a prescription injection medicine for adults. Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines. Liver problems leading to hospitalization may occur when treated for Crohn's or ulcerative colitis.
Control is everything to me.
Ask your doctor about Skyrizi, the #1 prescribed biologic in Crohn's and ulcerative colitis combined. Learn more at skyrizi.com or 1-866-SKYRIZI.
Summer storms can spell disaster for your roof and more. At Home Genius Exteriors, we stop the damage before it starts. Call now during our summer savings event and get 50% off materials for your new roof. Plus, no interest and no payments till 2027. Call Home Genius Exteriors at 866-451-5470 to schedule your free roof and attic inspection. That's 866-451-5470. Home Genius Exteriors, the genius choice in roofing. See website for details.
When I hit my 50s, I felt like things were slowing down.
This is Sandra's Metamucil story.
I started taking Metamucil for digestion, but had no idea it would impact so much more. Not only did Metamucil help me feel more regular, but my heart health saw the benefits too.
Metamucil, one simple routine, 4 health benefits. Digestive health starts here. Go to metamucil.com for more details.
My name is Amanda Klutz, and I'm a widow. You enter a different reality when you lose your husband, especially as a parent. Life insurance doesn't fix it, but it helps. With Ethos, you can get covered in minutes. No medical exams, up to $3 million in coverage, and it's all online.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/save. That's ethos.com/save. Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
When it comes to your financial future, trust and confidence matter. Secure Financial Group in Troy can help you plan, protect, and prosper. With a commitment to your goals in mind, they personalize strategies that fit your life. Whether you're saving for retirement, growing your wealth, or securing your legacy, their expert advisors are here to help you every step of the way. Visit securefg.com. That's securefg.com. Take the first step toward making your financial future secure. Secure Financial Group.
WJR Traffic and Weather First.
This report is sponsored by Dell Technologies. Back to school starts now. Get long-lasting battery life on the Dell XPS laptop powered by Series 3 Intel Core so you can work from anywhere. Now from $699 with exclusive student pricing from $599. Find PCs built for you at Dell.com/deals.
WJR Traffic and Weather First is sponsored by Blue Water Convention and Visitors Bureau. This fall, take the long way, the scenic way, the pull over, I need a picture way. Explore each community on the 140 miles of shoreline that is Michigan's Thumb Coast. From cozy drinks and autumn treats to freighter watching and leaf peeping, you'll discover fall in full color against a stunning blue backdrop. Visit thumbcoast.org to plan your next fall getaway. There's some stop-and-go traffic on I-94 westbound between Connor Street and Trumbull Street, and some construction to look out for as well on I-75 northbound from Warren Avenue past I-94. Your left 2 lanes are closed there. And on I-696 eastbound from Orchard Lake Road past Franklin Road, your 2 left lanes are closed there. And now, WJR Weather First from the Weather Channel. Partially cloudy today. It's currently 83 degrees. Sunny tomorrow with a high of 79. Mostly cloudy on Sunday with a high of 84. I'm Dominic Valentini, WJR Traffic and Weather First.
Call us or text us. The number's the same. 1-800-859-0957. 1-800-859-0WJR. Powered by Michigan Auto Law. Auto Accident Attorneys. Visit autolaw.com. That's autolaw.com.
Lindsay Clancy is on trial for the 2023 deaths of her 3 children, with the central question being whether she was criminally responsible or suffering from something called postpartum psychosis at the time. Her lawyer said today she is scared as the jury is in its second day of deliberations. And we want to bring in Todd Flood, managing partner at the Flood Law Firm, to talk a little bit about this case. Todd, I'll be honest with you. I really thought we were going to see a verdict here. The day's not over yet, but I really thought we'd see a verdict by the end of the day. What do you think?
I think actually, there's so much testimony that came in. As some 70 witnesses for the prosecution, the defense put on just 10 witnesses, but the 10 witnesses really dealt with one issue, and that was the insanity issue and the experts. So I think overall, this is a battle between experts. And candidly, I didn't think going through all of this, I think jurors take it serious, and they will go back and forth. They'll probably ask. They did ask. I understand for the prescription bottle.
Yep.
I understand they asked for the knife. They got all the evidence. I'm sure they're going back and forth through, and some people heard things differently than others, and they'll probably want to hear, some of the readback of testimony potentially. It's just too big of a case, too serious of a case. It took a long time, and I think jurors will take it seriously.
Let's hope
it'll
they
take the time.
Yeah, let's hope they take it seriously, because this is a very serious matter on so many fronts. Now, Clancy she's on trial for first-degree murder, but I want you to explain something to me and to our listeners. Yesterday, we learned that the jury was given another option, including second-degree murder and manslaughter, or deem her not guilty by lack of criminal responsibility. There's that too. So, can you explain what happened here? How did that change? Why did it change?
Well, the lesser included offense is that of murder, is second degree, and then they agreed to a manslaughter charge as well. So second degree murder, their jury instruction is going to be very similar, if not almost identical by term. It's the malice of forethought. Second degree murder is a willful wanton disregard, knowing that death or great bodily harm was going to happen. That is up to life and a sentence. And then manslaughter is a gross negligence. Here I doubt very seriously they get to a manslaughter verdict. I think it would be one or two, either first degree. First degree, the strangulation, obviously it's a chance to have a second look. Second degree murder is that, you did this act knowing that either death or great bodily could happen. My gut tells me it's going to be all or nothing. It's going to be a first degree, or it's going to be, that of a not guilty by reason of insanity. Could the jury compromise? Could they come back? Sure. I mean, we've seen juries come back with verdicts that were inconsistent with each other. So the fact of the matter is that it's kind of tea leaf reading, but the second degree murder is going to be a lesser included offense that's automatically read, and then the parties agreed on a manslaughter instruction as well. But again, though, I think you're going to see it's going to be one or a not guilty by reason of insanity.
Okay, that's an interesting take on that, and you might be right on that one, that it could be all or nothing. I was dying to ask you this question. Your take on, what do you make about this outpouring of support for Clancy outside of the courtroom? People in pink shirts, the clapping, the cheering. Can the jury hear that? We saw this before in the Johnny Depp trial versus Amber Heard, all the people out there supporting Johnny Depp, the Karen Reed case, all the people supporting Karen Reed. I mean, that was a crazy trial there where there was a lot, even more than I'd ever seen before. So are we going to be seeing more of this? And what do you think is pushing? I don't ever remember seeing this in the past. What do you think is pushing this sort of this outpouring of people going to these courthouses?
I was basically, I cut my teeth and still practice, in Wayne County in the criminal courtrooms and in the civil courtrooms. And every once in a while we'll see, these big cases with lots of people. I remember the Malice Green trial. There was a big outpouring of public support one way or the other, and anti the police at the time. It's a sign of times. You're right. You're spot on that, that you see a bigger inertia, a bigger crowd for whatever is getting them to come to the court. Does the jury see that? No, they're not supposed to. They're supposed to be sequestered. They don't hear or see any of that outside. It's not supposed to influence them because they're in the, 12 people behind closed doors, 12 angry men, right? Well, here you get 9 women and three men in the case. I think ultimately, the court has assigned a sheriff or deputy to monitor and make sure that there is no impropriety or influenced by any of that outside. And that's the way it's supposed to be. The thing that happens that disturbs me more times than not is when a juror goes home and the judge says and gives instructions, you are not to look at the news, you're not to look at social media, you're not to, and unfortunately, all too often we hear about jurors violating that rule and looking things up on their own. It's sad. It's happened to me before where actually jurors went out to a crime scene in a murder case and tried to recreate certain things. That it's just unfortunate. And I think the serious jurors, the ones that, follow the law, I always say that the juror is the Supreme Court of the facts. They determine the facts. The judge in that courtroom is the Supreme Court of the law. And you're only to judge your case judge the case based on the evidence that came in that courtroom, nothing else. And as a defense attorney, that's the way we want it. As a prosecutor, that's the way we want it as well. It's supposed to be just what comes in. And unfortunately, we see that cardinal rule every once in a while broken.
Yeah, well, it's amazing. I think social media plays a role in this. I think people are really pushed forward by what they see on social media and motivated by that. Oh, I got to go to that courthouse. I've got to, I got to be out there with my sign. I just think I'm just always baffled by it and surprised by it. Like, don't you all have jobs? I mean, it's always surprising to me. But anyway, Todd Flood, we will be back in touch. I know when this jury comes in. Always appreciate your insight and your bright look at these cases. We appreciate your time, Todd. Have a good weekend.
Appreciate you.
Thank you. Have a great weekend. We'll talk soon. All right, we'll be right back here on WJR.
When you're finally off the clock after a long day, dishes put away, kids asleep, feet kicked up, heartburn. Don't let heartburn take over your hard-earned moment. Quick, Alka-Seltzer. Nothing works faster for heartburn relief. Alka-Seltzer effervescent tablets begin neutralizing stomach acid in seconds, so you can get back to your one more episode marathon. Quick, Alka-Seltzer. Because nothing works faster for heartburn relief. Use as directed.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance engineer at a beverage manufacturing plant, he starts his day knowing every line is ready to run because Grainger delivers the industrial-grade products he needs to keep mixers, conveyors, and packaging equipment moving. With Grainger's vast selection of bearings, belts, and motors, he keeps operations running smoothly, so nothing grinds to a halt. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
I'm here with Greg Ayler, host of Expedition Retirement. Greg, you say when you get near retirement, the issues become more complicated than just saving and investing, such as?
What's going to happen tax-wise to my IRA? What if my spouse goes into a long-term care facility? What if the market crashes? These are the things that are the requirement and basically the backbone of every good retirement plan.
Expedition Retirement, Sundays at 5 on News Talk 760 WJR.
Explore the new Wicked Wanda Workshop or celebrate like a true Viking at the all-new Hydrons Hall. Step into a world of magic, adventure, and excitement at the Michigan Renaissance Festival. Open weekends now through October 4th. Get your tickets today at MishRenFest.com.
When you need roofing advice, call the experts at Kearns Brothers Roofing. With over 40 years of roofing installation experience, Kearns Brothers are Southeast Michigan's experts in roofing. To save up to $1,000 on your next roof replacement, visit KearnsBrothers.com. That's KEARNS Brothers.com.
Custom built for Detroit. 760 WJR. You're hearing the great voice of the Great Lakes. 760 WJR. This is the great voice of the Great Lakes. 760 WJR. Detroit, a Cumulus media station.
New pushback from Iran. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. 6 months to the day since the U.S. and Israel went on the attack. Iran's foreign minister posting that pressure does not work. and that putting diplomacy back on track hinges on the U.S. understanding that. This days after new sanctions were launched in what President Trump calls an economic D-Day, meant to isolate Iran.
There is no doubt that the economic pressure is building. The long lines at gas stations we're seeing in Tehran, one sign of that. Rampant inflation, of course, is another. A big part of keeping that economic pressure on is, of course, the U.S. naval blockade, which is still in full force and effect.
Fox's Jonathan Hunt in Tel Aviv. Today, a statement reported to be from Iran's supreme leader warns his government to ease the economic pain. He has still never been seen in public. President Trump turning attention to space, paying tribute to a historic mission with the highest honor for astronauts.
President Trump traveled to the Johnson Space Center in Houston to award the Artemis II crew the Congressional Space Medal.
In the daring deeds of these heroes, we're reminded that for America, no aim is too high, no journey is too far, no challenge is too tough.
The president also announced the creation of a U.S. Space Academy to educate an entire generation, he says, of service members, engineers, and civil operators serving in the Space Force. It would become the first federal service academy since the opening of the U.S. Air Force Academy in the 1950s.
Fox's Jared Halpern at the White House. Lawyers for the president just filing notice they intend to appeal today's ruling from a federal judge who rejected the latest effort to move a New York criminal case related to hush money payments to federal court. In Massachusetts, jury deliberations continuing for a second day at the murder trial of Lindsay Clancy over the deaths of her 3 children. America is listening to Fox News.
WJR Traffic and Weather First.
Some accidents to look out for on the roadways right now. On I-75 northbound near Lunar Pier Road, your 2 right lanes are blocked there by an accident. And on I-75 northbound near the Ambassador Bridge, your left 3 lanes are blocked there. Some slow traffic on I-94 westbound between Van Dyke and I-96, and some road construction. Your 2 left lanes are closed on I-696 eastbound from Orchard Lake Road, just past Franklin Road. Now, WJR Weather First from the Weather Channel. Partially cloudy today. Currently, it's 83 degrees. Sunny tomorrow with a high of 79, and mostly cloudy on Sunday with a high of 84. I'm Dominic Valentini, WJR Traffic and Weather First.
Did you know only 40% of people get to choose when they retire? To reduce fear and to understand if you have what you need to give you what you want in retirement, the charity has learned after teaching tens of thousands of families with assets between $1 to $20 million, you have to educate yourself and prepare now. Hi, I'm Kirk Cassidy, lead instructor for the Retirement Education Foundation, a charitable program, and the co-host of the Retirement Education Hour heard here Saturdays 6 a.m. and 1 p.m. If you're retiring within 10 years or already retired, then join us for our retirement education courses held at major universities and colleges in your area. At this course, we'll teach you how and when to take income from which accounts at what age to minimize taxes and reduce the chances of outliving your money. Join us for our 8-hour, almost master's level retirement course to learn how to retire earlier, spend more, and reduce your anxiety. To find a course in your area, go to refedu.org. That's refedu.org. These courses are sponsored by the Retirement Education Foundation, a charitable program.
When I hit my 50s, I felt like things were slowing down.
This is Sandra's Metamucil story.
I started taking Metamucil for digestion, but had no idea it would impact so much more. Not only did Metamucil help me feel more regular, but my heart health saw the benefits too.
Metamucil, one simple routine, 4 health benefits. Digestive health starts here. Go to Metamucil.com for more details.
Here's a tale of Becky. Didn't know what to do with new meds prescribed and no real cost clue.
She squinted at prices, that can't be right. Then tapped GoodRx and saw the light.
She could get a deal. Book telehealth if she feels.
Learn about those meds without any stress. That one little app does all the rest. Even my horse downloaded it. Dang, save time and money on prescriptions.
Check GoodRx. GoodRx is not insurance.
This is JR Afternoon on 760 WJR with guest host Marie Osborne.
And welcome back, everybody, to a beautiful Friday afternoon. Headed for a great weekend. Hope you're getting maybe an early start on your weekend. We don't have many of these summer weekends left, so let's take advantage of them right while we can. Uh, are on board this afternoon, of course, we have Kelsey Phillips as our producer, Danielle Mason. Danielle, I just changed your name to Diane.
Did you know Glenn Hagee called me Diane too?
Did he really?
Yeah, Diane is apparently a slip for Danielle.
Okay, it must be. I've never called you Diane. Plus, I love the name Danielle. My daughter was almost a Danielle. Almost squeaked by because she was almost a Danielle. So love the name. Anyway, thanks for making sure everything here runs the way it's supposed to. I don't know what we would do without you. So we're glad our folks are joining us today. We had a great discussion earlier in the last hour with Father Yaw from St. David's Episcopal Church in Southfield, talking about what I call the gospel according to Dolly. Just the kind of impact that Dolly Parton made in our world in terms of her vision of being a humanitarian. She did not hide her faith, but she didn't wear it on her sleeve either. Practiced a lot of the preaching, not being judgmental, which for her was just a real formula for success. And Father Yaw talking about how this weekend's sermon will be based on her, but mostly because of what the scripture readings are this week about how, people need to be less judgmental in their daily lives. And it just so happens that it coincides with this weekend. And he said, yeah, I'm going to be mentioning her from the pulpit this weekend. So we had a great conversation about that. Anthony Bellino, of course, joining us to talk a little bit about the Lions. They're in action this weekend. They're playing tomorrow night in Indianapolis. Great. This is great for Detroiters. You can make a day of it, go down there, enjoy Indianapolis, spend the night, and then come home. An easy drive. And of course, this is the last of their preseason games. The regular season opens on September 13th, but Anthony had a whole litany of things that are happening tomorrow in this game are very important for a lot of these players because they're making roster cuts within that 24 hours of the game. Sunday, they have to turn in their roster cuts. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens with the team there. We're on jury watch here for the Lindsay Clancy case. She's on trial for the 2023 deaths of her 3 children. And the question here, the jury is weighing whether she was criminally responsible or suffering from postpartum psychosis at the time. We talked to Todd Flood, and Todd saying that this was a very complicated case, a lot of witnesses, a lot of testimony, and a lot of evidence. So this jury is taking this very seriously. She is charged under first-degree murder, but they could also find her guilty of second-degree murder or manslaughter. That was just added. Or they could deem her not guilty by lack of criminal responsibility. So there are several options here. Todd Flood says that, his gut is telling him it's either going to be all or nothing. It'll be either be first-degree murder or she would be acquitted. But, we're all guessing. We're just all making guesses here at what might happen. So again, the jury is still out. The last time I checked here at 3:08 in the afternoon on a Friday, they are still out. So we may still get a verdict tonight. You never know. Sometimes juries will really put the pedal to the metal and stick with it and try to get a verdict in, especially on Fridays. That is true of a lot of juries, but Todd kind of put the kibosh on that, saying there's just too much evidence here. Earlier in the day, the jury did send a note to the judge asking for whether or not they could see the pills in this case that she had been taking, the medications, the prescription bottles, and I think the knife as well. So interesting choice of what they were asking to see, but that's what the jury asked for. So again, we're on jury watch there on the Clancy murder trial. Also, what is happening in Nepal, the border between China and Nepal, with this wall of water that came down and destroyed dozens of villages. Completely wiped them off the map, wiped out. We saw a video of it looked like it was a train station. It was a huge building, block building, huge. and this wall of water coming behind it and absolutely smashing it to oblivion. Um, Horrifying, really horrifying video coming from that area. And of course, there are crews from around the world that have now descended in that area trying to rescue people, if anyone can be rescued, or trying to save people. And there are Americans among the missing, but more than 500 people, that's the death count right now, have been killed in that flash flooding in that border between Nepal and China. And around 90 Americans remain missing in Nepal. You got to remember, this is a big tourism season in that area because people go on religious pilgrimages, but they also go on trekking expeditions through that area. Not everybody goes there just to climb, Mount Everest. There's a lot of other treks that take place in that area. Earlier today, State Department spokesperson Tommy Pigot joined Fox and Friends to discuss what was happening there.
We have now seen 5 Americans being safely evacuated. That is up from yesterday. And we have, at this point in time, no knowledge of any U.S. citizen deaths. We acted immediately to provide assistance. Of course, we're in close coordination with the governments, the local authorities here, but we immediately activated $500,000 in initial humanitarian assistance. I can now say those first assistance trucks are already on their way, and that includes life-saving food in order to get people the material they need. So we're in close coordination. Our embassies in Kathmandu and Beijing are working on this 24/7. And if Americans need assistance, please reach out to the embassies.
So this devastating flash flood was caused by a glacier collapse in the Himalayas. Scientists believe that there was just this giant break in this glacier. It fell 7,000 feet, which caused this water to become displaced and caused this wall of water to go rushing down this valley between Nepal and China and just taking out whatever was in its way. It sent a torrent of water down into the valleys below. So again, they're still trying to get a handle on what is happening there. 500 killed, at least that's what they're saying now, but that number is going to go much higher. 90 Americans remain missing. But you just heard there from a State Department spokesperson on Fox earlier today saying that they did rescue 5 Americans. Interesting story. We're going to talk coming up next to Dr. Asha Sajahan, family medicine doctor at Corewell Health. She's an expert on mental health, kids' mental health. And this goes to that topic. Sterling Heights Stevenson football is taking a different approach this season. The new head coach there, Brandon Gannett, he is asking players to put down their phones and focus on football. Since taking over in March, he has encouraged the team to stay off social media, avoid outside criticism, and concentrate on building a winning culture. Players say the change has brought more focus in the weight room, stronger team chemistry, and fewer distractions. So he's getting a lot of kudos. A lot of people are talking about this particular story about keeping this football team off social media, just saying you don't need that. You don't need the distraction. Just concentrate on football. So we're going to talk a little bit about what parents can do to help their kids with limiting their use of social media, especially here as we start the school year. We'll be right back. We'll have more on that.
The following statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
The human brain is truly incredible. It surpasses supercomputers with over 100 billion neurons that control our thoughts, emotions, and movements. Prevagen wants to keep it incredible. Powered by apoaquarin that was originally discovered in jellyfish, Prevagen is designed specifically for the brain to help keep it amazing so you can continue doing what you love with confidence. Try Prevagen for your brain today.
Like it or not, crime is a reality. Help protect your family with the Byrna Less Lethal Launcher, trusted by hundreds of police departments, government agencies, and security firms. The Byrna launcher has powerful non-lethal deterrence, plus a 60-foot range that can stop an attacker for up to 40 minutes. With over 750,000 units sold to the public, Byrna is legal in all 50 states, requires no background checks or permits, and can be shipped right to your door. Visit Byrna.com today. That's BYRNA.com. Must be 18 plus. Purchase and shipping restrictions vary by state and municipality. Go to Byrna.com to check availability at your location. station.
The Dan Bongino Show.
All those folks out there listening to the show, maybe by mistake. Maybe you thought you were tuning into John Bon Jovi and you hit Dan Bongino by accident. Then you're like, man, he's not nearly as good looking. But this isn't a mistake. Stop what you're doing. I need you to listen to this. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you, you're getting played by a bunch of people using you for your vote. They don't care. What? Yes. You don't have to take the stupid exit off the highway. Stupid is a choice. I'm warning you, bro.
The Dan Bongino Show. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
Get ready, Metro Detroit. Michigan Lottery Arts, Beats, and Eats, presented by Flagstar Bank, is coming to downtown Royal Oak, and it's going to be epic. Experience 200 live performances on 11 stages with a lineup that spans genres and generations. From country favorites Chris Young and Brett Young to the incredible classic rock of Jason Bonham's Led Zeppelin Experience and pop icons like Third Eye Blind and old school rhythm and blues with Kool and the Gang. There's something for everyone. Stroll through the Fine Art Fair presented by La Fontaine Infinity, savor delicious bites from local vendors, and enjoy activities for the whole family. It's a weekend packed with arts, music, food, and fun. Advance tickets are 33% off, just $10 through August 31st. Visit artsbeatseats.com to get yours today. It's all happening Labor Day weekend in downtown Royal Oak. Sponsored by Soaring Eagle Casino, Jim Beam, University of Detroit Mercy, and U.S. Park.
Get answers to your retirement planning questions by joining the president of the Brzezinski Group, Brett Brzezinski, for Inside Retirement, Sunday afternoons at 2. Firm offers insurance services. Investment advisory services offered only by duly registered individuals through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
WJR Traffic and Weather First.
This report is sponsored by Blindster.com.
Hi, I'm Kyle at Blindster.com. Tired of overpriced blinds? Blindster makes custom blinds simple and affordable. You measure at home, install yourself, and save big. No retail store markups, just custom blinds guaranteed to fit. Blindster.com.
There are some accidents out on the roadway to look out for on I-75 northbound after Lunar Pier Road. Your two right lanes are blocked there by an accident. And on I-75 northbound near the Ambassador Bridge, your left 3 lanes are blocked there. Some slow traffic on I-94 westbound between Van Dyke and I-96. And some construction. Your 2 left lanes are closed on I-696 eastbound from Orchard Lake Road to Franklin Road. And on I-75 northbound at I-696, your right lane is closed there. Now, WJR Weather First from the Weather Channel. Partly cloudy today. It's currently 84 degrees outside. Sunny tomorrow with a high of 79. Mostly cloudy on Sunday with a high of 84. I'm Dominic Valentini, WJR Traffic and Weather First.
It's coming. Think of this as your 2-minute warning. Before the blitz and your team charging down the field, football is back. Keep listening to 760 WJR, where Michigan comes to huddle.
And we are back. Meta Platforms has agreed to pay up to $17 billion to settle claims brought by states across the country over allegations involving children's use of Facebook and Instagram. The agreement reached during a federal trial in California involving 29 states, including Michigan. Also, we heard earlier, I had that audio clip from Florida where the state attorney general there, James Udmire, said that, Meta, we're going to take you to court anyway. That settlement is not enough money. $17 million is a drop in the bucket for you guys, and we can do better if we go to court. So Meta's still not out of the wood on all this. So regulators allege that Meta designed the platform that encouraged excessive use among young people, misled consumers about safety protections, and collected personal info. Meta says that it'll introduce new safeguards for teens nationwide. They're going to put a daily usage limit in place and restrictions during overnight hours. But we wanted to invite in Dr. Asha Sajahan, a family medicine doctor at Corewell Health. She's been a guest here at WJR many times before. And Dr. Sajahan, thank you, first of all, for joining us. But here's my question for you. We can have Meta, make these restrictions. They can put these protections on their platforms. But the fact of the matter is it comes back to parents, grandparents, caregivers to monitor what their kids are doing on social media. So we thought we'd have you come on board, talk a little bit about what are some of the common sense things that parents can do to help their kids out when it comes to this. Glad you could join us.
Thank you so much for having me, Marie. I do think that this is probably the first guardrail put in into a platform. So I think it's a little bit better than nothing, because otherwise all of the burden's on the parents and caregivers. So I think having the 2-hour daily limit for teens is a good idea. The nighttime blocking, I really like that, because we know that for kids, for growth and development, especially physically, emotionally, and mentally, it's so important to protect their sleep. And then they also have the muted notifications during school hours, so hopefully kids are not getting too distracted. And then they have some other restrictions, even on things like beauty filters, et cetera, that can really affect kids' self-esteem. So I think all of those things are great. Is it perfect? Does it mean our kids are safe? No. I do think that parents should not mistake that the time limit is a safety guarantee for our kids. We have to pay attention to what they're consuming. And in 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, the 2 hours, whatever time frame, our kids are still exposed to cyberbullying, misinformation, sexual content, predatory abuse behaviors, and then obviously the unrealistic body images. So I think it's really important that our parents understand that, yes, we've got some new guardrails that can help us, but we also need to not just police our kids, but we need to participate in their online usage. So some of the things our parents can continue to do is to really look at your kid. How is your kid acting after consuming social media? Is your child irritable or withdrawing from activities, or their grades going down? Do they appear more anxious? Like, know the impact that their usage has on their behavior. And then secondly, I think also we have to continue to model good behavior to our kids. So having those time zones that we've talked about in the past, where we are device free. So no phones in the bedroom, no phones at the dinner table. Because ultimately the goal, we don't really want to raise kids that never use social media. We want to raise kids that know how to use technology without having technology control them.
That last thing you just said is so important. We want to train the kids to use social media, to use technology to their benefits, not to let it control them. I think that is just so profound. I saw an interview this week with a psychologist who said that when it comes to technology or devices, check everything your kid does, even if they protest and complain. Ask them for their phones. She said, you are not their friend. She made no bones about this, that you need to be physically checking where your kid's been. You need to be checking their posts, their text messages, everything. Would you go that far?
I don't know if I would go to that extent. I think it just depends on what the behavior is. So yeah, if your child is withdrawing, if your child appears super anxious, their grades are going down, then maybe you want to take that kind of approach. But I think to just be involved from the beginning. So take your child's phone with them together and say, okay, we're going to review all the privacy settings. I'm going to look at the parental controls. I'm telling you what I'm going to be doing. And these are the reasons why. And then, even sharing things like what's going viral right now, asking that question, like trying to get involved so that kids feel open to sharing. I think if they feel overly reprimanded or that fearful, then they'll try to hide things more. And we know with technology, kids are way better than parents and adults. So they can definitely hide things. So I think if you are too severe, kids will start to hide. And, behaviors show that it's always better to do things together with the children. Do things so they don't feel afraid to come to you if they have gotten too far. Maybe someone is cyberbullying them. They don't want to share because they're embarrassed. Or there is some predator that's starting to talk to them and they're afraid. They don't know how to navigate that. But if you have open behaviors, then the child will probably feel more safe telling you But I do think it's important to know where your child is online, because there's a lot of scary places and rabbit holes that they can go to. And parents always kind of overestimate their kids. At least I've noticed in the office, parents will say, "Oh, my child never goes on X, Y, and Z site, or they're never doing this, they're never doing that."
Never say
Yeah.
never.
Yeah, and then it's like I asked the parent to leave the room, and which is common, as a family doc when you talk to kids, and privately they tell you all sorts of stuff. So, never underestimate your children in terms of what they could be on. And sometimes it's not even by choice, it's kind of by chance that they fall onto these websites. So I do agree with, kind of reviewing maybe the history of where your kids are browsing and what kind of sites that they're on. And especially these video games, a lot of them have a lot of, violence and even sexual content, and you just don't think so because it's a video game for a kid. So watching them play, participating in playing so that you see what kind of things that they're exposed to.
Yeah, or using the phone, depending on the age of your child, but allowing them to use the phone, but it has to be while you're in the den, with them, or in the kitchen with them. Not, that you're not looking exactly over their shoulder, but they're in the room with you. I think that's also another way, because I have a tendency, you don't want to be looking at something you're not supposed to be looking at if your mom's in the kitchen, right?
Right,
So
exactly.
yeah, so maybe
And I think that's why, I'm sorry.
no, that's okay.
I think that's why keeping the phones out of the bedrooms at night is very important, because one, we know disturbing sleep for kids is so detrimental. And secondly, that's often the time where kids start scrolling and going on things that their parents may not approve of, because they're in the privacy of their room. Dark, everyone else is sleeping. So I think that's a really important rule, but then it should be a rule across the board. So that means parents and kids, no phones in the bedroom. We're going to use alarm clocks instead.
All right, parents. Yep, that's right. Very quickly, I wanted to ask this question, because if they're going to limit phone use to 2 hours, if Meta plans to do that, I just heard Birmingham Public Schools are going to. The kids can't use their phones from the time the first bell to the dismissal bell. So that means they don't have their phones at all during day, at all. And I just think to myself, I don't know, is 2 hours enough? Is that do you think that's too strict, or is that about right?
It's hard to say, because the American Academy of Pediatrics normally, when I was training, was telling parents that it should be 2 hours or less of screen time. So screen time included, computer, television, phones, all of those things. Now, the kids are on screens in school. So it's like, how do you enforce that screen time? So I think just take that number with a grain of salt.
Yeah. So again, what is your kid? Who is your child? And how do you deal with them? Dr. Aja Sajahan, always a pleasure to talk with you. Family medicine doctor at Corewell Health, always full of great information as our kids head back to school. Have a great evening and a great weekend ahead, doctor. We appreciate your time. All right. We'll continue here on JR Afternoon.
You need an IT partner who sees your business goals first. At Awcom, we begin by understanding what you care about: efficiency, team productivity, client experience. Then we build cybersecurity, reliable IT support, employee training, and smart AI tools around those goals. We're transparent. We're results focused. We deliver more than fixes. We deliver growth. Visit awecomm.com. That's awecomm.com. And let's put your business first.
Hey, Chuck, John from Walker, Michigan, just heard the Inside Outside guys for the first time and had nothing but great things to say.
Well, that's because instead of going to a national site for a contractor, he went to InsideOutsideGuys.com.
If you live in the state of Michigan and you need a contractor you can trust, always go to the InsideOutsideGuys.com for contractors and housing information you can trust.
It's Ryan Ermanni with Eric from Paramount Roofing. When you hear 5-star experience, what does that mean to you?
To me, it means communicating exactly what we are doing to your home, having respect for your home, delivering the best quality material, crew, and the one we take pride in, satisfaction guaranteed. At Paramount Roofing, we bring the 5-star experience to every roofing project with no deposit required.
Get a 5-star roofing experience with Paramount and get 5 years, 0% interest financing at weareroofing.com. That's weareroofing.com.
This is Mark Snethkamp of the Snethkamp Automotive family. We've served Michigan customers for over 100 years. We opened our first dealership in 1926. 4 generations later, Snethkamp is still the name to trust when buying your next new Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, or Ram. Visit us during the Make This the Summer Sales event, happening now at one of our 4 locations: Highland Park, Gaylord, Midland, or Redford.
Snethkamp, Metro Detroit's original. Snethkamp, Snethkamp.
News updates anytime at WJR.com.
I'm Daria Albinger. Fed Chair Kevin Warsh says the central bank must do something about inflation.
Price stability is not self-executing, nor is inflation necessarily mean reverting. It's the Fed's job to deliver stable prices. No excuses.
He told the Fed's annual conference in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, that might mean an interest rate hike. President Trump honoring the Artemis II crew in a visit to the Johnson Space Center in Houston.
By embracing competition in the private sector, we freed up NASA to focus on what it does best, leading the cutting edge of exploration and human space flight.
He's given the crew the Congressional Space Medal of Honor. NASA is preparing another Artemis mission for next year. America's listening to Fox News.
WJR traffic and weather first.
This report is sponsored by Blindster.com.
Hi, I'm Kyle at Blindster.com. Tired of overpriced blinds? Blindster makes custom blinds simple and affordable. You measure at home, install yourself, and save big. No retail store markups, just custom blinds guaranteed to fit. Blindster.com.
A few accidents out there on the road right now on I-75 northbound just after Luna Pier Road. The 2 right lanes are blocked there by an accident. And on I-75 northbound near the Ambassador Bridge, your 3 left lanes are blocked there. Some slow traffic on I-94 westbound between Gratiot Avenue and Rotunda Drive. And some construction on I-696 eastbound from Orchard Lake Road just past Franklin Road. Your 2 left lanes are closed there. Now WJR weather first from the Weather Channel. Partially cloudy today. Currently it's 83 degrees. It's going to be sunny tomorrow with a high of 79 and mostly cloudy on Sunday with a high of 84. I'm Dominic Valentini, WJR traffic and weather first.
Summer storms can spell disaster for your roof and more. At Home Genius Exteriors, we stop the damage before it starts. Call now during our summer savings event and get 50% off materials for your new roof. Plus, no interest and no payments till 2027. Call Home Genius Exteriors at 866-451-5470 to schedule your free roof and attic inspection. That's 866-451-5470. Home Genius Exteriors, the genius choice in roofing. See website for details.
On the battlefield, there's a saying America's military men and women live by. Never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Off the battlefield, Wounded Warrior Project operates with the same goal. Wounded Warrior Project was created to help our men and women returning home with the scars of war, whether those scars are physical or mental. Wounded Warrior Project. We never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Learn more about what we do at woundedwarriorproject.org.
1 in 4 Americans have a disability. I'm one of them. I'm also a working mom who cares deeply about making sure every child with a disability thrives by getting their access needs met. We've got a trusted ally by our side. Easter Seals provides children and families the foundation for lifelong success through early learning programs, skills training, and prep for college and career. That's my Easter Seals. Make it yours. Join us at easterseals.com.
What if medicine had to work somewhere with no margin for error and no gravity? At Henry Ford Health, our work with NASA pushes technology beyond the hospital and beyond Earth. We are Henry. Learn more at henryford.com/science for the win.
Listen in for the Cranes Detroit interview with Mike Lee every Monday morning on JR Morning. Brought to you in partnership with Mercantile Bank. Looking for a new business bank? Mercantile can help drive your business forward. Learn more at mercbank.com.
It may be too soon for the flannels, but it's never too soon to get ready for football. 760 WJR is back in the gridiron business. First, it's Sportscaster.com's Game of the Week.
Welcome in for a beautiful night of high school football.
Sponsored by Nika every Friday on WJR. Then in September, the Spartans fire up the college football season against Toledo. And the NFL kickoff pits New England against Seattle. Catch the top NFL games every Sunday, Monday, and Thursday nights, courtesy of Westwood One. Fire up the tailgate grill. Football is back on 760 WJR, where Michigan comes to play. Wake up tomorrow with JR Morning with Chris Renwick, Lloyd Jackson, and Jamie Edmonds on 760 WJR. Right now, it's JR Afternoon with Ryan Ermanni. This is JR Afternoon on 760 WJR with guest host Marie Osborne.
And we're back. We're glad you could spend a little bit of your Friday afternoon with us. Looking ahead to Labor Day. Labor Day marks the unofficial end of summer in Michigan, but it's also one of the best weekends to soak up the sunshine, the sand, and small town adventures before fall arrives. We could not think of a better person to talk to. The host of WJR's The Michigan Travel Show, Dave Lorenz, joining us. Dave, we always love picking your brain to find the great places to go. And what I love about Labor Day weekend is you still have summer, like the sunshine is still there, the warmer temperatures, and you're just looking ahead to maybe a great fall season. So this is just a great time for travel.
Absolutely true. And, you know, the kids I know are back to school in some schools. And if not now, they will be very soon. So this might be, you know, your last big weekend to get out there with the whole family. And we have so many really great events around Michigan. I like to call Michigan the festival state because I've never really looked into it to make sure, but I believe there are more festivals in Michigan per capita than any other state in the country. You know, we love getting outside, and especially at this time of year. So think about some of those big events that most of our listeners are probably aware of, you know, Arts, Speets and Eats and Royal Oak for the weekend. And of course, the big Jazz Fest in Detroit, about 40 years or so, largest free jazz event in the country. I mean, we should be so proud of these things, but you might want to do a little traveling. Maybe you do want to do the Labor Day Bridge Walk on Monday. If you want to do that, just remember, they completely shut down the bridge between 6:30 in the morning and about noon, sometimes a little bit after that. And you have to finish your walk in time. I think it's like 10 o'clock. If you don't finish halfway through, they will turn you around. So if you're going to do that walk, you know, go and enjoy yourself. But remember, you can't cross the bridge by car during those times.
Yeah, and that, you know, you got to remember that, because if you're planning to be somewhere after the walk or whatever, you know, you need to be planning for that.
Yeah, you really do.
And I love the fact that we have so many festivals. That's for sure. I mean, there's even when you were mentioning Arts, Speets and Eats and so on, we got the Renaissance Festival starting up. So all these things are happening, and they're all so great. Can we talk a little bit about some of the small towns that are sometimes overlooked? I'm talking places like Port Austin, you know, Alpena. If you really want to do some traveling, Copper Harbor. Those are all like one of those little places that are just so worthwhile to visit.
They really are. And you know, all those places you mentioned are just excellent places to go any time of the year. And, you know, the truth of it is you don't really need to wait for a festival or an event to go out to those places and really have a great time, because you're going to always find something that you're going to really enjoy. But if you do head out on Labor Day weekend, maybe on the west side, Holland has a big event. It's their big truck parade. They have the big rigs out there, something like 70 big rigs going to parade. It starts at like 9 o'clock in the morning. It's downtown Holland, and, you know, they have music and free Hudsonville ice cream, which is pretty awesome. A little bit north of Holland, kind of north of Muskegon, is in that Whitehall Montague area. They do their own Labor Day walk where they go basically from Whitehall to Whitehall to Montague, and that's a really cool event. You can find a lot of those kind of small bridge crossings. Everybody's kind of picked up on that all over, but Muskegon has kind of a couple of big events that kind of come together on Labor Day weekend. They have a kind of a music, arts, crafts show at Hackley Park, the downtown park. And then there's a big thing happening on the SS Milwaukee Clipper. That's a historic landmark. Muskegon's really cool because it has the Silverside submarine out on dry dock right now.
Yes.
The Clipper and the LST ship. So you can get to see all that as well, which is always fun.
Yeah, and I want to go back to Whitehall and Montague for a minute.
Mhm.
I'm
Yeah.
going to put you on the spot. What's the big historic house that the lumber baron built? Is it in Montague?
No, that's actually in Muskegon, downtown
Oh,
Muskegon.
it's in
That's
Muskegon.
and there are two of them right next to each other, the Hackley and Hume homes. Charles
Yes.
Hackley was
Yes.
one of the biggest lumber barons. And you get a depiction of that in Lansing as well at the Historical Center. But for the real thing, it truly is truly awesome to go through a tour in that really beautiful house. Now, if you're into architecture, though, I can tell you, you would love to go to Marshall.
Marshall, I was going to say, I was
Yeah.
going to mention
Oh,
it.
isn't that great?
Yeah.
Isn't that great? Well, so Marshall, it has a fun thing happening right now. First off, it's a cute little town, Battle Creek area. Has a great collection of architecture. And I travel for architecture and art, among other things. And so you get just a great collection, everything from, Queen Anne to Italianate to like a Hawaiian looking home to historic homes that were once used by the Pony Express, cool things like that. But right now they have an America 250 flag exhibit where numerous homes have flags on their homes, and they're all different because they depict different stories of the American journey. And so you can, learn about them as you're walking around downtown. It's a really cool thing.
Yeah, here we started in Montague and Whitehall, and we ended up then in Marshall. But that's what Michigan is all about. And
we have something for everybody.
right. And there is and what I love too about Marshall is that's one of those places you don't have to have an event to go there. Literally, you can drive in the town and you're just awestruck by the incredible. I travel for architecture. It's a great, it's beautiful there. And you talked about walking across the bridges that people are now, that's now become a thing. Have you done the Gordie Howe Bridge yet, or what is your feedback on Gordie Howe?
I have not. I was over in Mexican Town the other day, just had lunch and really enjoyed that. Just a really fun experience. But I was looking at the bridge and I thought, I have to get over there. I just haven't done it yet, but I will soon. Here's the thing. There is so much to do. I was up in the UP and the Sioux. I did the famous Locks boat cruise the other day.
Wow.
I went to Pictured Rocks and did the Pictured Rocks boat cruise in Munising. You can do those on the holiday weekend as well, but it's super busy. So you might want to do those at other times, yet you still have time. And then if you are looking for other events during the big weekend, Elk Rabbit's Arts, Crafts, and Fair, that Polish Fest, I never finished with that. That's another thing happening downtown Muskegon Labor Day. They have Thumb Fest in Lexington on Saturday. The Michigan Chicken Wing Fest in Old Town Lansing. No, I guess it's in downtown at Adado Park. Other things happening in Old Town this week, that weekend as well. I mean, seriously, it just gets me excited because it gets me ready for fall. But you have all these other really cool things to do. And that's the great thing. We have 4 seasons in pure Michigan. We get to enjoy them because we happen to live here.
And we are, I'm telling you, we are so lucky to live in Michigan. People don't really understand all the great beauty that we have, natural beauty and even the man-made beauty here with our towns and cities. That's for sure. Dave Lorenz, host of WJR, the Michigan Travel Show. Always a pleasure to talk with you. You're so always excited about your fabulous subject matter, the state of Michigan. Thank you, Dave. We appreciate your time. Have a great evening and a great weekend ahead.
Thank you. You too. And we'll talk to you Sunday at 4 on the Michigan Travel Show.
Sounds good. It's a date. We'll be right back here on WJR.
2 hours ago, Kyle arrived at the bar.
Hey, what's everyone drinking?
30 minutes ago, Kyle got his friends another round of drinks.
Cheers!
5 minutes ago, Kyle decided to drive home drunk. A minute ago, a law enforcement officer pulled up behind Kyle.
Sir, have you been drinking tonight?
A chain of events that began 2 hours ago is about to change Kyle's whole world. Drive sober or get pulled over. Paid for by NHTSA.
Car accident that wasn't your fault? Michigan law says you may be owed up to $3,000 for your vehicle damage. But there's a deadline, and it comes faster than you think. We're Michigan Auto Law, and we'll handle the whole claim for free. No attorney fee, no fine print. Fill out one form online. We handle everything. You get the check.
Visit 3kforfree.com. Up to $3,000, zero fees. Only at Michigan Auto Law Auto Accident Attorneys. People over everything.
Service didn't define their story, but it shaped their foundation. Hear inspirational stories about our veterans as they transition from military service to civilian life on The Veterans Blueprint. Sponsored by VetLife, Sundays at 6 a.m. on 760 WJR.
While retinitis pigmentosa takes Mark's vision, his family gives him hope, whether at the family business or at home with his wife and sons. He knows he's not fighting alone. For 50 years, the Foundation Fighting Blindness has funded research into treatments and cures for blinding retinal diseases, providing hope to people with vision loss. And for Mark, winning the fight means being there for his family. The Foundation Fighting Blindness. Together, we're winning. Help us end blinding diseases at fightingblindness.org.
Do you have an invention idea but don't know what to do next? Call InventHelp today. We have representatives nationwide who will explain the InventHelp process step by step. Over 10,000 patents have been secured through InventHelp's patent referral services. The InventHelp Databank includes thousands of companies who have agreed to review new ideas. We've been helping inventors since 1984. Let's help you next. Get started today.
Call 1-800-217-4380. That's 1-800-217-4380. Again, 1-800-217-4380.
Get answers to your retirement planning questions by joining the president of the Brzezinski Group, Brett Brzezinski, for Inside Retirement, Sunday afternoons at 2. Firm offers insurance services. Investment advisory services offered only by duly registered individuals through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
The highest performing school facilities start with premier architectural design. Wakely Associates is an architectural firm that has been serving Michigan educational communities since 1951. Whether designing for new or renovation of current facilities, Wakely is focused on designing high-performing educational spaces. This experience is invaluable to K-12 school districts looking to pass bond issues. Engage Wakely Associates Architects to examine your district's needs. Details at wakelyaia.com. That's wakelyaia.com.
Explore the new Wicked Wand Workshop or celebrate like a true Viking at the all-new Hydrants Hall. Step into a world of magic, adventure, and excitement at the Michigan Renaissance Festival. Open weekends now through October 4th. Get your tickets today at mishrenfest.com.
WJR Traffic and Weather First.
This report is sponsored by Blindster.com.
Hi, I'm Kyle at Blindster.com. Tired of overpriced blinds? Blindster makes custom blinds simple and affordable. You measure at home, install yourself, and save big. No retail store markups, just custom blinds guaranteed to fit. Blindster.com.
There's an accident on I-75 northbound after Lunar Pier Road. Your two right lanes are blocked there. That accident on I-75 near the Ambassador Bridge has been cleared. Some slow traffic on I-94 westbound between Van Dyke and Rotunda Drive. And some construction to watch out for. Your two left lanes are closed on I-696 eastbound from Orchard Lake Road just past Franklin Road. And your right lane is closed on I-75 northbound at I-696. Now, WJR Weather First from the Weather Channel. Partly cloudy today. It's currently 83 degrees. Sunny tomorrow with a high of 79. And mostly cloudy on Sunday with a high of 84. I'm Dominic Valentini, WJR Traffic and Weather First.
Call us or text us. The number's the same. 1-800-859-0957. 1-800-859-WJR. Powered by Michigan Auto Law, Auto Accident Attorneys. Visit autolaw.com. That's autolaw.com.
You've likely heard of a food desert. They are places usually in an urban or rural area where fresh, wholesome food is difficult to find. Well, there's also such a thing as a book desert. And as you can guess, that's a place where books and reading materials are hard to find. Our next guest wanted to change that for the city of Detroit. Elise Hartman is the founder and director of Birdie's Bookmobile and Birdie's Book Nest. Hello, Elise. Glad you could join us.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
All right. Forgive me for the pun here, but how was this idea hatched?
Oh, yes. It actually came about from a dream that I had one night, maybe 15 years ago. And it's something that I was able to pursue, and it hatched, as we say, in June of 2022.
So tell me about the dream. I'm curious about that. What did you dream?
Yes, that I had a bookmobile and that I was passing out books and giving them, specifically at the time in the dream, it was to single moms and children, and just making sure that they had the books that they needed in their homes so that they could read with their children. And it was something that I just kept on the back burner as in one day I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do it one day. And I was sitting in a meeting when I worked for another nonprofit, and literally out of the blue, someone said, "Oh, so-and-so has a bus for sale in their front yard." And I said, "You know what? That's mine." And I got in contact with the person and purchased the bus.
And how many years ago was that, Elise?
We hatched in June of 2022.
All right, June of 2022. And I love that you use that terminology, that you were hatched.
Yes.
I love the idea.
Yes.
So, when there's so many questions to ask you, because books were always number one in my growing up, not just books, but newspapers, lots of periodicals. But in my own home, as my children were growing up, books were never a no. It was always a yes to books. So it always hurts when I hear that children don't have books at their fingertips. Just even looking at pictures, right? So, but when I think of literacy rates in the city of Detroit, they're at about 50%. In fact, we did an interview a few weeks ago with somebody from the Epiphany Learning Center on the east side of the city, and they talked about how very bad the literacy rates are in that area. So you're talking about adults, you're talking about parents who can't read. Then we have this group of children that are in this environment, and we're giving them books. But what about the parents who can't read? Is that on your radar, or how do you handle that? Do you hope that maybe the kids bring the books home and read with their parents?
We do. And we recognize that there are academic and literacy gaps that are generational. So we not only provide books for adults as well, not as many. It's not our main focus. However, we do have books that we make sure that adults have access to. And then we also have programming that we run not only for children, but we have programming that we run for adults as well, so that adults can help their children in their home with their literacy and with their reading development.
So tell me about the mechanics and how this works. So you got this bus, and you were going to fill it up. So tell me the mechanics. How do you keep the bus on the road? How do you get the books to put in the bus? How do you know where to go? How does that work?
Keeping the bus on the road has been a challenge. So it really has been. We got the bus on the road the first time in June of 2022. In May of 2023, we lost that bus to an electrical fire. We got another bus. We were in the process of removing all of the seats and getting the bus